Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this session we are going to see one of the component of artificial intelligence known as artificial neural network. So in this session we are going to build a deep neural network with neurons and fully connected layers connecting these neurons, and later we are going to apply these to a business problem. Okay, so artificial neural network is a fully connected neural network with only fully connected layers, but not with any kind of convolution layers or any other types of layers. So here you'll just have an input vector containing different features, and we will predict an outcome which will be a binary variable. Okay, so artificial neural networks can be both used for regression or classification, but here in this case study we are going to utilize it for classification problem, right? So the data set which I'm going to explain you is on churn modeling. Okay, so this is a data set of bank which collected information about their customers. As you can see here, we have various attributes here like customer ID, surname, credit score, geography, gender, age, tenure, balance, number of products, whether the customer has a card or is he a active member, and estimated salary. Along with that, we also have a dependent variable vector whether that customer exists in the bank or not. Okay, you can see the values 1 and 0. So it will give you an insight whether that customer has stayed in the bank or he left. Okay, so these are all the features, and altogether, as you can see, we have 10,000 instances. Okay, so this is a large data set what we are going to utilize it to design a model, right? This bank actually observed their customers for a certain period of time, about 6 months, whether they left or stayed in the bank, and they gathered all these outcomes in this last dependent variable vector, as you can see it in the exits here. Okay, in this exited column they had gathered all their outcomes. So the main intention of the bank is to retain more number of customers so that they make more money by offering more products to them. So they made this data set to analyze why the customer leave the bank, and they also want to build a predictive model which may predict any new customers whether they are going to leave the bank or not. Okay, so they need this model to prevent maximum customers from leaving the bank. And also you can see the values 1 and 0 here. So 1 means left the bank and 0 means the customer stayed in the bank. Okay, also we can see various attributes and observations. We can have the information related to the credit score, geography, the location, their gender, age, tenure, how many years they are working in the bank. Okay, balance, number of products, do they have a card, is he an active member. So all these informations are relevant, and we are going to design an artificial neural network model based on this data set. Now let's start the implementation phase of this using Python. Okay, so here is the code. So first of all we have to import all the libraries, and we have to import the data set. Okay, that is the primary criteria here. So now what we do is we'll import all these libraries. So what are the necessary libraries required for our problem are NumPy, Pandas, okay, and we also have TensorFlow, right? So these three libraries are very important for us to design this model. So first of all, let us import this library, and you can see the libraries are about to import, and we require this TensorFlow because this is a framework through which we can try to import all the necessary libraries and class files to design artificial neural network model. Now as you can see that we have successfully imported all the libraries, and also to know the version of the TensorFlow, you can just write tf dot underscore underscore version underscore underscore, and the TensorFlow version we are going to utilize for this case study is 2.1.0. Now let us try to import the data set. Okay, to do that we required pandas library, through which we are going to invoke a method read underscore csv and name the dataset. So I'm going to import this. So once we imported, we can see in the variable explorer the data frame being created. Okay, just double click on this dataset, you will be able to see all the features and the instances of the dataset. Okay, so you can see the customer ID, surname, credit score, row number, geography, gender, and all rest of the features, including the last feature, that is exited. Okay, this will be our dependent variable vector, and rest of the features will be considered as the independent variables or the matrix of features, right? So based on this, we are going to consider only few datas, okay, for our as a part of the independent variable vectors. So let us go through this data set again, and we can see that among all these features, we have more features here. So among all these features, we can easily try to identify which are the features which will really try to contribute to our problem. Okay, so the row number, customer ID, surname, as we can see that these three features will not contribute much to our problem. So we can eliminate these three variables, and we will consider rest of the variables, just like from credit score, geography, gender, age, tenure, balance, number of products, has a card, is an active member, estimated salary. So from the credit score to the estimated salary, we are going to consider as a independent variables, and the last column we will consider as a dependent variable vector. Okay, and to consider only from the credit score to the estimated salary, we have to give the index numbers here. So you can see the row number is in the index number 0, customer ID is 1, surname is 2, and the credit score is 3. That means we have to start from the third variable and till the last but one variable. Okay, so till here estimated salary, and this will be the last column for the dependent variable vector. So based on that, we had taken the matrix of feature S from the dataset. I had imported, I had invoked the method ilocate. Okay, I want all the rows colon, and I want to eliminate the first three columns. So 0, 1, 2 has been eliminated, and start from the fourth column, and all the rest of the columns I want except the last column. Okay, and import all the values and store it in the variable X. So after executing this, you can see that we have successfully able to store all the necessary independent variables in the variable X, right? It is done now. Later on, we have to store the dependent variable vector in the variable Y. So we are considering all the rows but only the last column. So we'll execute this line also, and we'll see whether we are going to get the output or not. So in the Y, we can see all the values have been successfully imported. Okay, so 0 to 9999, so it includes totally 10,000 instances of data, right? So we are done with the importing the dataset, libraries, and splitting the dataset into two parts or two entities, that is the matrix of features X and the dependent variable vector Y. Okay, now by looking carefully in the dataset X and Y, we can see that some numbers are in numeric and some are in categorical data. Especially you can see in the first index, these are categorical data. Okay, we have France, Spain, and Germany. So we have three categories here, right? Also we can see in the second index, that is the third column, for the gender also we have female and male. So we have to convert these two columns into a numeric one. Now let us understand that what are the mechanisms involved in Python to convert the categorical variables into a numerical variable, because machine learning will always accept numerical data to build a model, right? So now let us try to solve these two problems. So to do that, we have to encode the categorical data. Okay, and for the binary variable. That's for the gender. These are the binary variable because female and male, only two values have been there. Now for that we can apply the label encoder, but if there are more than two values, there are more than two categories, then we have to use for column transformer, okay, using one hot encoder. So now we are going to import this label encoder class from the very well-known library in machine learning called as scikit-learn.preprocessing. Okay, from the scikit-learn preprocessing module we are going to import the label encoder, and then we are going to create an instance of that class label encoder, and we will store it in an object called LE. Right, now we have to apply this label encoder only for the geographical location and the gender. So now we have to see that which are those variables we need to fit for. Okay, right. So you can see that the label encoder is applied only for the gender, and later on we are going to apply one hot encoder, but that will be applied only for this thing, geographical. So now we have to apply label encoder for the gender. So we have to check in which index that exists. So you can see it's clear that it is existing in index 2. Okay, so we have to apply only for that. So from the X, in X, consider all the rows but take only the second column. For that you have to fit and transform all the values with respect to the label encoder, and when we execute this line of code we can see that the value of X has been changed. I think I forgot to execute this line of code. Okay, let me execute this. Yes, now we are ready with that. Let us go and see the variable X here, matrix of features, and it is clear that we are able to convert all the categorical information to numerical data. Okay, zeros and ones. Okay, right, we are done with that. Now we still have another categorical data in the matrix of feature X, that is the geographical location, but here instead of having binary variables we have categorical, more than two categories, France, Spain and Germany. So we cannot apply the same mechanism like label encoder. Now to do this we have to import a one hot encoder class. Okay, so what I do means I just try to import the column transformer and the one hot encoder class. So this column transformer I'm going to import it from the module compose, which is there in scikit-learn, and also I'm going to import this one hot encoder from the library scikit-learn.preprocessing module. Okay, so as we know that once we import all the class we have to create an instance of that. We had created it here, column transformer, and as a parameter we can see that we have to inform what kind of transformation has to be applied, that is the encoding format encoder, and you are going to apply this one hot encoder. Now you have to tell that for which index value you are going to perform this one hot encoder. As you can see in the X, we are performing it for the first index, right, for this category. So if we have to write this index value here, and if you want all other variables to be a part of it, then you have to write remainder is equal to pass through. Okay, so because it says that along with this, along with the variable, you want all the rest of the features to be as it is. Okay, it should also be associated with the transformed value. So to do that we require to write remainder is equal to pass through. Right, finally we are going to fit and transform the one hot encoder to the matrix of features X in this way. Okay, now let's execute these lines of code and try to analyze the output. It will take some time because it has to encode all the 10,000 datas. Okay, now let us go and see the matrix of feature X, and you can see these are called the dummy variables, right? It is clear that for France it has given 100, for Spain it is 001, and of course for the German it may be 010, correct? So since there are three categories, so you had three new columns here. So if it has 5 categories, then you might have had 5 new columns. So these columns are called as dummy variables here. Okay, and remember that these dummy variables will always be populated first. Okay, now you can see in 0, 1, 2 we have the geographical location data. Rest of the data will be as it is. Since you wrote remainder is equal to pass through, So all this rest of the columns are associated with the new set here. Okay, so we are ready till here. Now it's time to split the data set into training set and the test set, right? Because before we design the model, we have to train the model, right? So amongst the 10,000 data, we will be taking 2,000 data for testing, and the rest of the 8,000 data we are going to give it as a training set to train our model. Okay, so to do that, we have to import this train test split class, which we are going to import it from the module model selection. Okay, and as we know that we have to store the results in the two pairs of training and testing data set, that is xtrain, xtest, ytrain and ytest. So after we import this class, we have to create an instance of the class by passing few parameters like the matrix of features x, dependent variable vector y, and test size equal 0.2. It means 20% of the data will be taken for the testing. Okay, and random state equal to 0, because we should get the same results how much ever times we execute the problem. Okay, so to do that, we have to do this job, and we are going to execute these lines of code right now. And it has been done, and you can see that we got 4 new variables xtrain. Okay, xtrain we got, right? Now you can see that all the data are numeric in nature. Also, among the 10,000 data, you can see that the 8,000 data has been taken for the training set, right? Now these data we are going to take it to train our model. Okay, similarly for the xtest, we can see we have all the features, but how many instances we have? Only 2,000 instances, totally 10,000, right? Now as we can see in the data set, there is one more pre-processing has to be taken place here. See, all the values are not in a right scale. You can see values for other than this. Look at the values for this 667, 427, 535 credit scores and all. These are not in the right scale. Okay, in the same scale it should be, or else what happens means this will lead to an interpretation of the misinterpretation of the model in the later cases. Now to avoid such misinterpretations, we have to ensure that all the values are in the right scale. Okay, so without doing much research into this, straight away we can apply feature scaling mechanism and try to get rid out of this kind of misinterpretations. Okay, so we can apply for these columns. Okay, these columns also. Okay, so without worrying too much, let us try to apply it for all the columns here. So the next step will be the feature scaling, and to we are going to apply a standardization mechanism in feature scaling. We have normalization and standardization, among which I am going to apply standardization because it suits for all kind of data. So I import this class from this library scikit-learn.preprocessing, and of course once I import the class, I need to create an instance of that class, store it in an object sc, and I am going to fit and transform the scaling mechanism to the trained data set and store it in the same data. Okay, xtrain itself. And similarly, I only transform the data for the xtest. Okay, so while you are going to predict also, you have to write sc dot transform method, because this will this we are going to write only when we are going to apply any scaling mechanisms, right? So we are going to fit and transfer for the trained data set, but we are going to apply only the transform method for the test data set. Now after doing that, let us see the xtest and xtrain data. Okay, now let me execute these lines of code. Now after we apply this feature scaling, let us try to observe the data. Now you can see that every data are within the range of -3 to +3. Okay, so all are within the same range. Now you can see the entire data set has been changed here. Now these data we are going to utilize and apply this data to train our model. Okay, now it's time to build artificial neural network model. As we know that to build artificial neural network model, first we have to initialize the artificial neural network. Then of course we will add the input layer and the first hidden layer. Later on we can also add some more hidden layers to it, and finally we are going to add an output layer. Okay, let's try to implement it now. So first thing we have to do is obviously to create a variable. right? We have to create a variable here, and this variable will be created as an object of a certain class, and that certain class is the sequential class here. So this will allow exactly to build a artificial neural network, but as a sequence of layers. So now we have created an object here, and to create a sequence of layer, we have to import this particular class from the tensorflow.keras.models module. Okay, so we have to do this, and we have to store it as an object, and the name of the object what we have taken is ANN. This is how we are going to initialize the artificial neural network, and this object ANN will create this ANN variable to represent our artificial neural network created as an instance of that sequential class, which initializes our ANN as a sequence of layer. Okay, now the next stage we are going to do is to add the input layer and the first hidden layer here. Okay, so this is where we gonna start using a dense class in TensorFlow. So the way to add a fully connected layer into an ANN at wherever phase you are is to use a dense class, and the way we use it is very simple, by taking our ANN object here, by taking our ANN object from which we are gonna call a method of the sequential class, and that method is called as a add method here. Now through this we are going to pass few parameters here. Okay, so I'm going to call the dense class here from the layers module of tensorflow.keras, and we are going to pass few parameters to it. Okay, the parameters are units here. Okay, so what are units here? How many neurons you would like to have it here. Okay, how many hidden neurons you would like to have. So as of now we require 6 neurons, and also along with that we have an activation function, and most of the time the activation function which will be utilized for binary classification problems are ReLU, rectified linear unit. And we should also know that the activation function in the hidden layer of a fully connected neural network must be the rectifier activation function. Okay, that's the reason we had utilized it here. And in the step 3 we are going to add a one more hidden layer, that's the second hidden layer, and it is as same as that of the first hidden layer. Okay, so we are going to copy and paste the same line of code here, and I'm going to execute these 2 lines of code here. Okay, so now what have we done? We had initialized the ANN, and we had added one input layer and the one hidden layer. Right, now it's time to add the output layer. So here we have 2 parameter changes here. As you can see, the parameter changes are in units and the activation function here. So we know that the output layer contain the dimensions of the output you want to predict, right? And here, since we actually want to predict a binary variable which can take the value 1 or 0, we use one neuron, that is units equal to 1. And for this activation function we are going to use a sigmoid. Okay, because sigmoid activation function allows to get not only the ultimately the predictions, but even better, it is going to give us the probabilities that the binary outcome is 1. So we will use sigmoid as the activation function for the output layer, and with this we are done by building our first artificial neural network. Okay, so that's all. So we have initialized the ANN. After that we had added the first hidden layer, then we had added a second hidden layer, and at the last we had added one output layer. Okay, now let me execute this line of code. Yes, now done. Okay, now in the next part we are going to train the artificial neural network using 2 steps. One is to compile the ANN, another one is to train the ANN on the training set. Okay, now to compile the ANN, first we will use this ANN object. Okay, we will use this ANN object, and from this object we will call a new method which is the compile method. Okay, we have to enter 3 parameters such as optimizer, loss and the metrics here. Okay, so for the optimizer we will be using the Adam optimizer, which is a well-known optimization algorithm here, and which is also a very high performance optimizer that can perform stochastic gradient descent, and this stochastic gradient descent will always try to update the weights and use the loss error between your prediction and the real results. That's the reason we are going to apply ADAM as the optimization algorithm here. And for the loss, since we are dealing with the binary class variables, we are using binary cross entropy. But if you are dealing with the non-binary classification variable, you can go for a categorical cross entropy. Okay, so whenever you are using categorical cross entropy, don't forget that for the activation function in the output layer, it should be softmax. Okay, since we are dealing with only binary variables, for the output layer we are given the activation function as sigmoid, because it always try to give us the results in as per the probability. Okay, but whenever you are undergoing with the more than two outcomes, right, non-binary classification problem, at that time you make this activation as a softmax and the loss function as the categorical cross entropy. And the metrics what we are going to metrics is like how are we going to evaluate the performance of the model. The one of the metrics we are going to take here is a accuracy. So you can take any other matrices apart from accuracy. Okay, so this is how we are going to compile our model. Let us compile that, and we have successfully done that job. Now it's time to fit that model and train based on the data set what we have. So we have X train and the Y train. So we are going to fit that model to this trained data set with the batch size as 32. That means this is the classic default value for the batch size. Batch size is like batch learning. So if in each batch it is going to learn to estimate the number of weights which is going to keep it for each and every neurons. Okay, and the epochs what we are going to take it as 100 here, right? So let us execute this line of code. Now it will take little bit of time until it iterate for 100 iterations. This neural network has to be trained over a certain amount of epochs here, and so as to improve the accuracy over the time. And you can see it here, as of now it has done with the around 48, 49, 50 epochs here, and during each of these iterations you can see the loss function and the accuracy. Okay, so our main estimation is we have to decrease the loss function and we have to increase the accuracy, right? So there is no special thumb rule that we have to estimate the value of the epochs here. So it is purely based on the experimentation. As per the experimentation within we have reached by 50 epochs itself. Okay, but just to evaluate the model for better accuracy we are taken to 100. Okay, you can see it here. As of now we are done with the 80 epochs. It may take another few seconds to complete this entire process. And yes, we are done with the epochs here. As you can see that the final accuracy and the loss function has been calculated. The loss function is 0.3321 and the accuracy of the model is about 0.86. Okay, that means 86% accuracy the model is able to perform. Okay, now what we are going to do means we will try to predict these values, okay, based on few data, as we had already done with the creation of the model, and we have also compiled the model and we have also trained the model. Now let us try to predict it with the few values here. Now let us try to predict with the given values here. We are going to use a ANN model to predict if the customer with the following information will leave the bank or not. Okay, now how are we going to do that? We had seen the data here. Consider the geography France, credit score as 600, gender as male, age as 40 years old, tenure as 3 years, balance $60,000, number of products 2, and whether this customer have a credit card. Yes. Is this customer an active member? Yes. Estimated salary around $50,000. So the question is, should we say goodbye to that customer or not? Okay, that is our main question. Now who is going to answer this? The model is going to answer. Now how to do that job? We have to predict some output based on these values, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to call a method predict from this object ANN to predict the outcome. But we need to be very careful while entering the values here, because always the predict method will expect in a 2D array. The value should be entered in a 2D array, whether it is a test set or whether it is a single prediction. Okay, that's the reason you can see it here. We had entered all the values in a two-dimensional array. Like, can you see here, two square brackets? Okay, and all the values you are going to pass. And see, the first geographical is France. So you know that for the France, the dummy variables are 100. Okay, don't put it as France, put at 100, and that is next value, that is credit score 600, male is 1, female is 0 here, age is 40, tenure is 3, 60,000 is the balance amount, right? And after number of products 2, and does he have a credit card? Yes, it's 1, active member 1, and the final is the estimated salary, that is 50,000 here. Okay, so we have to do for this now. So what I'm going to do here is, as we know that what kind of output we are going to expect here, the outcome will be always in terms of probability. Okay, let us try to do that job first. After that, I'm going to show you the outcomes with the different answer in a Boolean answer. Okay, so first, as you can see here, is when I started printing this line ann.predict. Okay, since the we know that we have to enter the data in a 2D array, so that's the reason I put it in a 2 square brackets. And of course, you can see I had transformed the data, because since we had applied scaling for this testing data also, so of course we have to do the transformation here. So okay, so we have to write sc.transform of all the values here. Now when I execute this output, you can see here we are getting this value 0.0340963. What is this answer? This is nothing but the probability. That means 34% probability that the customer may leave the bank. Okay, so if you want to keep some threshold value above 50% is yes, and less than 50% is no, then you can utilize this one. You can write this print statement and you can put for the given value, check whether it is above 0.5, 50%, above 50%. Okay, if it is above 50%, you can see that what value we are going to get is in a Boolean answer. It is true or false, so 0 or 1 here. And we can see that we have got the answer as false. It means the customer will not leave the bank. Okay, what is the probability the customer may leave the bank is 34%. So since we had given the threshold value above 0.5, that is 50%, that's the reason it is giving you false answer. So it means that customer will not leave the bank. Okay, now this is for a single predictions we are done. Now if you want to predict for all the test set results, then you can write in this way. ypred is an variable through which in which we are going to utilize the ANN object through which we are going to invoke a method predict and give all the values of x test, right? Give this value, and of course, since you would like to take only the values in Boolean answer, so give it greater than 0.5, means above 50%. That means he is not going to leave the bank. Below 50%, he may leave the bank. Okay, so whatever the answer you get, based on that answer, you just put a condition greater than 0.5 and store it in the same variable, right? And after that, since we know that we can't visualize this because we have so many features, so what we are going to do means we are going to concatenate the results. Okay, in one vertical line we are going to print the prediction, another vertical line we are going to print the testing data, and we'll see each other whether the prediction and testing results are same or not. To do that, we have to concatenate. To do that, we have to require the help of NumPy library. So np.concatenate, and the first parameter will be the prediction. Okay, and try to present your output so that we are using reshape function here. So for every prediction, take the length of the every prediction and make sure it is in a vertical way. Okay, so 1 represents vertical, 0 represents for horizontal. So the value should be one below the other, like that. Okay, and the second parameter will be the test. So first value whatever you get is a prediction. Second, the value which is beside the first will get the test one. And after one result, the second set of results should be in a horizontal. That's why after the third parameter, you are going to put it as 1 here. And all these results we are going to concatenate and print it. So what is the answer you get here? So once you print these values, you can see all these values, right, in the list format. right? So this is the prediction and this is the test. You can see this is right, and since you wrote 1 at the last, no, it is in a horizontal way, so the second result is 0 1. That means here it went wrong, right? Okay, after the so many datas are there, and the last three instances also it is showing. So if you see it in this way, I think first three instances and the last three instances it is going to display it. Okay, but now to estimate how many wrong predictions have been made and how many right predictions have been made, so we are going to make use of this confusion matrix matrix here. So to do that, we have to import this confusion matrix here, and also we are going to import the accuracy score, okay, to estimate the performance of the model from the metrics module. Okay, we will import this and create an instance of the class, and what do you pass? You pass the test data set and the predicted data set. So it is going to estimate how many right and how many wrong predictions have been made in each one of these classes. So let us execute these lines of code and let us try to estimate here. So you can see here is 1499 datas have been properly estimated that customers will stay in the bank. Okay, estimate. So these diagonal values are the right predictions, these diagonal positions are the wrong predictions. Okay, so you can see that it is very clear, 1499 plus 211 datas are right, 96 plus 194 are the wrong predictions. So among the 2000 data, these many datas are right and these many datas are wrong prediction. Now to estimate the accuracy of the model, we are going to invoke this and create the instance of this class and pass the same variable y test and y prediction and execute this line, and finally if you would like to print, you can print it here, and the value is 85.5% accuracy. And of course this 85.5% is also a decent accuracy. If you try to give more and more epochs, don't think that always you are going to get a better accuracy. Maybe you may need to you can do some lot of experimentation by changing the batch learning here 32 to some other values. Also you can utilize some more some other optimization algorithms, okay, and some more hidden layers. Okay, so you can try with the lot of values so that you can get the accuracy up to 90%, but of course 86% is not at all a bad accuracy. Okay, if you get sometimes some people will get above 95% accuracy, that means the model has been overfitted. Ensure that the accuracy is always within 80 to 95. Okay, so with this I hope everybody understood that how to easily design an artificial neural network model, how to train the data, how to do the data pre-processing before we train the model, and finally how to compile and predict the values in that. Okay, also we had seen how are we going to estimate the model based on the confusion matrix and accuracy, right? So thanks for watching this video and have a happy learning. Thank you.